Okay, so we're at the Trip.com Airline Global Conference here in Amsterdam. The first one they've run outside of China and their homeland in APAC. And we've found a quiet spot for a bit of lunch. And I'm joined by Decius Valmorbida, who's the president of travel for Amadeus. Amadeus, for those of you who don't know, is one of the world's biggest technology companies. European-based, and it sits behind a lot of the industry, providing a lot of the technology that powers aviation.
Thanks a lot.
That's a good enough intro for you.
Okay. Exactly.
Decius, thanks for joining us today, and good to see you.
Yeah,
it's been a while since we've seen you. Just tell me, you were on stage earlier. You had a nice short and sweet session, but you got to the real nuts of the issue that the industry is facing around data, around seamless travel. Just tell me what you were telling the audience earlier.
So I think today what we're facing is travelers want more travel, but they want seamless travel. And what I was saying on stage is delivering seamless travel, it's a bit of an utopia in the sense of there is friction. There are multiple governments to orchestrate. There are data privacy regulations. There is a whole bunch of things. So it's kind of really delivering on seamless is going to be difficult. But the question is how, as an industry, we get together to try to take some of the obvious things out of the way.
Yeah.
How can we start getting friction out of travel?
Is it a utopia that is achievable? Or is it something that even should be attempted to be achieved?
Look, for me and that boils down to purpose. Yeah. It is like, look, if we would like this industry to flourish, it's because we're making every time easier for a traveler to just have that desire, go ahead and, pack their bags and go explore the world. So that is always the desire. The question is, there are other concerns around sustainability, around safety, around privacy, and so on and so forth, that will always have to be an equilibrium within this desire to travel.
Yeah.
So how do we make that all work together? I think that technology has a tremendous responsibility on trying to bridge those two worlds.
Yeah.
It is what you want and what is achievable. And there's how do we bridge those two?
I suppose the difficulty in air travel in particular, there's two distinct types of customer broadly. Yes. There is the customer who flies for business.
Yes.
And there's the customer who flies for leisure, for holidays, or for their trips.
Friends and family.
And they have different needs and requirements.
Yes.
The business customer probably doesn't want a lot of unknowns. They want that seamless nature of travel.
Yes.
The holiday maker, not so much. They don't want things to go wrong, but they're quite happy for things to happen on the fly a little bit. They don't want necessarily have everything pre-planned.
Yes.
So how does an industry sort of balance those two requirements?
Look, just beginning on how we were discussing here about the segmentation. Segmentation, traditionally business leisure. It has evolved so much. It's what if I'm a digital nomad and I actually commuting through travel? It is what if I have a whole bunch of different family setups that in fact it is I'm going back to visit the family. It is what are all of the experiences that you need to happen around friends. So it is as you see, there are many reasons why we travel. And one of the key things that we have never delivered is on personalization.
Yeah.
It's I like that we always talk about hyper-personalization. We have never even delivered the personalization piece.
Okay.
No?
Yeah.
And as you said, what is important for me? So it is if I happen to be traveling with my family, 3 kids and so on and so forth, and passing conveniently through immigration, it's something that is important for me. It doesn't matter if I'm business or leisure, I would like to have the option to do that.
Yeah.
So it's how as an industry, we create that step of the trip as something that people can buy and say, it's if I don't mind, you can take the long queue. But if you mind, can I actually go through the fast pass? So it's how we make all of that available digitally for the traveler. I think that is the next step.
Yeah, it feels like we're on the cusp of huge change again with technology. AI has been around for a while, but everyone's now talking about Agentic. So these agents that are going to be out there on our behalf, shopping and understanding what we want as a customer and going out and finding that.
Yes.
And then Agentic commerce, which is when the payments side of it starts to become available in Agentic.
Yes.
Seems that will change the whole game, won't it? So what should airlines be doing now to prepare themselves for this?
Okay.
Because it's going to come quickly, isn't it, I think?
Exactly. Look, in my view, few dimensions that we need to think. Number one, as you said, AI will evolve into agentic commerce. So we need to think that the customer, top of the funnel, will be discussing with the AI. So we don't know if that is going to be a human that is going to be there, if that's going to be delegated, But reality is we need to think that commerce will be taking place at that layer.
Yeah.
So this means that how are we going to talk the language of the traveler? Because today, all of the industry has been organized around supply. So it means that people would go to say within the flight box, within the hotel box, within the destination experience box, how do I find what I want? And customer now will start with intent. It is my graduation trip.
Yeah.
It is a romantic weekend. It is, it is a knowledge tour, right? It's like so there are so many reasons why you start, and we're going to have translate that into an offer.
Yeah.
So then how do you change your process in order to be traveler centric? And traveler centric for me means three things. How we're going to share identity. So travelers would like to be recognized by who they are, and they would like the biometric information to be the one who's going to do it.
Yeah.
How we're going to collectively take care of the traveler, because that is going to be the trip record that is going to have to be shared. And as you mentioned, how we're going to orchestrate the payments.
Yeah.
Because some things are prepaid, some things are paid at the moment, some things are paid at destination.
Yeah.
And it is like if anything goes wrong, you want to be able to roll back those payments. So I think orchestrating identity, trip record, and payments is going to be fundamental in this AI future.
It all feels potentially hugely complicated. The airline industry has taken 20 odd years through NDC to take a little bit of control back around the offer.
Yes.
And then it feels like we're at the time when that control potentially could be ceded again to OTAs like Trip, who are really good at AI and good at Agentic. Is the industry, do you think, at a point where they're worried that they're going to cede that control that they've been working so hard to bring back in-house?
Look, and I think this is the perfect example of if we do a little bit of trust and a little bit of leap of faith, what is the value that we unlock? Because on the moment that we're discussing about control, it is thinking that the market is limited. That is a question of, is a zero-sum game. So it is like if a trip.com has the customer, if I have the customer, it is the same customer, so on and so forth. Here we're talking about opening dimensions that a customer essentially has a wallet and they can spend as much money as they want in the trip. Yeah. So it is blue ocean. So then the question is, how do we collaborate? How do we actually, it is the airline plus trip, plus a hotel, plus a car rental company, how all get together to deliver an experience that is unique.
Yeah.
Because like in case you do that, then customers are willing to pay a little bit more. And then we share the value that is going to be created. So I think it is not a question of control or not. I think it is a question of seeing this future where it's going to be a lot more interesting in terms of a revenue per passenger. That is going to be a lot more for us to share.
And that speaks to the co-creation sort of topic of the 2 days while we're here, is how you co-create the future. But I think, as you said, there's always going to be a sense that commercial businesses, they compete. Yeah. They compete ferociously, and they should compete. That's what drives change. It's the level at which they can sort of say, right, on this level, we'll cooperate. I think that's where the trust has to come in.
Exactly. And let me give you an example of another industry, fashion industry. They compete.
Yeah.
Every one of the players in there are competing, but they can't agree on what is going to be the colors of the next season. It is like they can agree on what are the materials and the fabrics that are going to come. They agree on layman terms to say why this product is better than the other one and what are the different levels of quality in the industry.
Yeah.
So it's like there is an element of cooperation because it is for the good of the industry. So I think that taking care of the traveler is the level of cooperation that we all need to have. What is going to be the preferences of the traveler and trying to make the traveler loyal to your brand? That is what everyone should compete, because whoever builds the best overall experience to the traveler, then it is like that's where you're going to give your loyalty. So it's like I think that's what we need to learn, to compete, but as well collaborate, and then creating this new value.
And is this future necessarily going to be costly to bring in? Airlines don't have huge amounts of budget to spend on this kind of thing. An OTA may have bigger budgets. Is it about the biggest budget wins in this scenario?
Yeah, but I mean, we're looking today is, if you see the majority OTAs where the budget is, it is more related to marketing.
Yeah.
So, and if we're talking about an AI future where in fact it is not exactly that cost of acquisition that is driving the decision, but it is more the breadth of the product that is the one that is driving my decision, then it is a pretty equalizing playing field to everyone. So it is like, it is who's going to be able to put all of that proposition best. Now, the question is how much IT you're going to need in order to deliver all of that. And I think that is the second dimension that AI helps, because it means that you're going to accelerate the productivity of all of your IT resources that today could do X,
Yeah.
and we're promising they're going to be able to do 10X.
Reduces
So
barriers.
it's like,
doesn't it?
exactly. So I would say to every airline, this is a tremendous opportunity of getting close to your customers, creating better experiences, unleashing the potential of your internal IT,
Yeah.
and hopefully a little place for, a technology partner to help you.
Well, let's finish on that. A little place, you said.
Exactly.
Amadeus is far from little. Let's finish on that idea, where Amadeus sits in all this. I think, you mentioned on stage, Tony gave you a little, Tony Fernandez from AirAsia gave you a little dig before he came on stage because you sat next to him. You play a massive role. You're at the heart of the industry in many ways. And I think for some people, you control the speed and even the cost of this transition. So what is your role as Amadeus? How do you feel yourself as an enabler of the future, rather than as seen as trying to maintain the status quo? You actually push forward. Yeah.
So I think the number one thing is, I gave hints in here, is re-architecting and redesigning our systems to break those silos. Mm-hmm. I mean, we today power airports, we power hotels, we power full service carriers, low cost carriers. So how do we break those silos and we make all of this traveler-centric as part of a single platform? Now, that is number one. Number two is how we open ourselves to partnerships. Because today there is Amadeus, but it needs to be Amadeus plus Salesforce, Amadeus plus ServiceNow, Amadeus plus Google, Amadeus plus a whole bunch of other players that through modular and clever APIs, we can bring it that.
Yeah.
And all of that with a little sauce of AI, as we're discussing with Anthropic, we're discussing with Google themselves, with AWS, so Microsoft, it is like with so many providers. Yeah. Because like if we can make that as a catalyst and accelerator of us building that transition, because we're only so many. You say we're very big. I mean, we have 20,000. Yeah. But it's like, let's think about if every player in the industry decided to go into the digital future. 20,000 enough? We're going to have multiplication effects. Yeah. So in fact, it is about collaboration. It is getting everyone to work on this framework of mind. We hopefully to be at the core, making our investment in creating the platform, but aggregating a whole bunch of people that can build on top of the platform in order to deliver the best experiences for their travelers.
You're investing many billions in this.
Well, we are investing.
Airlines are investing, but there's a degree to which the investment overlaps, and maybe a better co-creation makes that money go further.
Correct. As I gave the example when we were on stage, is like if we take Amazon as a great retailer, they're investing over 100 billion in IT. So it's like, that's probably the entire collective IT budget of the industry. Yeah. So it's how much overlap can we afford in order to deliver real digital retailing experience? I would say zero. Yeah. So this means that we need to go to this open framework. That's our proposition. And saying, going open, how we get everyone to collaborate and build this future. Yeah.
Well, Dacius, that's our time's up. Thanks very much for that. I mean, a lot of those ecosystem members are here today. So Google are on stage and TikTok and so on. So this is why you get together to discuss what the future looks like. So we'll see.
Very good.
We'll see what emerges.
It was great to see you.
And you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, so welcome to this special ABNcast. We're at Trip.com's Airline Global Conference in Amsterdam, and I'm joined by Harry Grewal, who is the Director of Airport Infrastructure and Customer Experience at the global industry body IATA, which is very well known. Harry, thanks for joining us on ABNcast.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure.
You were on stage twice yesterday during the conference. You did your own address to the audience, and then you joined a panel. And what you spoke about a lot was how the world adapts to a modern AI-driven scenario. We spoke a lot about on stage about data and so on. Where does IATA play in this? What do you think IATA's role is in terms of forging this future as we enter a world that we're still imagining, really?
Yeah, I think we're still trying to get a grip of what all these new technologies mean for our ecosystem. Yeah. Whether it's AI, whether it's digital identity, biometrics, EV tolls, you name it. New technology and disruption is a consistent. What we recognize, though, it's definitely cascading down on all elements. And what we need to do is perhaps revalidate our reasoning and look at things from a zero-based approach. Yeah. How would we ideally build and construct certain infrastructure? How does it then complement the consumer behavior, which is also evolving? Yeah. Some of the themes that were brought up was consistent all the way through. Trust, that framework needs to exist amongst all stakeholders, and collaboration.
Yeah. Is that almost like it's a great mind game to think about what if you had started from a blank sheet of paper and built the industry today based on what you know about how things operate, how would it be different to what it actually is? Because we're always working with legacy, and that's hard to work through a system, isn't it? And
it's going to take a bit of courage, and it's going to take a little bit of commitment as well. A commitment from the industry to push forward. Obviously, there's a lot of disruption that occurs, and it kind of takes us away from the prize. But support as well, be it from regulatory bodies, our other stakeholders. A lot of these technologies already exist, and the proof of concepts have been showcased. It's about adoption.
I guess there are parts of the world we're seeing it because, markets like China and India, they are starting from a zero start in some ways. They don't have aviation really in their countries, or they're just starting on that path, so they can start from that blank sheet of paper. So we may see what the future looks like by looking at those countries.
There's no doubt that some jurisdictions and regions are going to leapfrog forward. We see that in China or Asia Pacific as a whole. Tremendous amount of investment and a tremendous amount of willingness to invest and develop and grow the aviation market. So we're going to see a lot of these technologies implemented and deployed, perhaps in those regions before.
And that puts pressure then back on the more established, mature markets, doesn't it? Say, why can't we do this? And it is difficult to have those changes happen because you see it everywhere. There's politics at play. There's a huge amount of investment needed. How does IATA try to unlock it, or at least take some of the barriers away to progress?
I mean, there's no one size fits all. And a lot of these mature markets have got very complex regulatory frameworks. Some of it is, for the betterment of the value proposition that aviation brings. Others are a little bit more restrictive and add complexity. So what I would say is that you have to take it case by case. And for specifically with IATA, a tremendous amount of advocacy work goes into this, be it challenging aeronautical charges or supporting industries with ideal recommended practices on how to build an airport from a master planning perspective or what have you.
You mentioned digital ID earlier, and I think that was one of the things you were talking about, where that is going, and the idea that you and actually Trip.com announced a partnership with you guys to pilot a digital ID for the first time in in a third party. A lot of the airlines are trying to do this. Who's going to regulate that? Is it an IATA job to regulate that, to set the standards? Because if it's not a standard thing globally, then it's not really going to work, isn't it? You need to be able to sort of travel seamlessly across the planet with that digital ID.
Yeah, there's no doubt. The technology is moving, but it is a bit fractured and fragmented. And so for us, pushing forward industry standards that would allow for interoperability is what's really going to, put us forward and create an environment where we can experience an end-to-end seamless journey.
In the panel that you joined later, we started talking about the physical. We talked about the physical infrastructure, and maybe if you have digital ID, for instance, you don't necessarily have to do any check-in in an airport. And then you said, well, maybe why do you have to do bags at an airport, for instance? And there's all these ideas that are bubbling away that could completely change the infrastructure and about how we travel in the future. Is that how you see things evolving? That we actually question everything and the entire process is revolutionized?
Yeah, I think we have no choice. Because we're contending with capacity constraints everywhere, and the growth is still coming. Whether it's volumetrically.
Demand is only going in one direction, despite what's happening in recent
even then, the industry will bounce back. And what we see is not just a passenger volume, but aircraft movement as well. Capacity constraints all across the board. So it's about really how does digital identity and some of these new technologies unlock more capacity in existing infrastructure? Or how do we build some new infrastructure that is fit for purpose? And so, there's a tremendous amount of value that can be unlocked, but we got to ask the right questions and start from there.
Final question before you go. You come here representing IATA, you get your time on stage, but you get a chance to sort of mingle with the audience and network. What do you take away from an event like this?
Well, my exposure to the retail and distribution side is a bit new. And what I can see is the tremendous amount of collaboration from our strategic partners and our technology partners in this whole chain, this whole value chain. Because when we look at modern airline retailing, it's about orders, offers, delivery, and settlement. So that ecosystem, that whole holistic view, it's good to experience on both spectrums.
So you go away with a positive mindset, and
absolutely.
I believe that we can collaborate, because that was one of the big messages from yesterday.
It was all about collaboration and breaking down those silos. It's about building new relationships and understanding that the definition of success might be mutual, right?
Yeah. Harry, thanks very much.
Cheers, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us on ABNcast.
Yeah,
see you around. Cheers.
See you later.
Okay, so ABNcast has brought its studio on the road again this week. We've come to Amsterdam, and we've been really privileged to be invited to the Trip.com Airline Global Conference. The first time it's been run outside of China and the sort of the homeland of Southeast Asia or East Asia. I'm joined by James Spalding, who is the regional head for Trip.com. You must
Thank
be really
you for having me.
That's a pleasure. And thanks for inviting us. It must be really good for you to have this event come to the region which you cover, actually. Yeah?
Absolutely.
Tell us about why they've come here this year, and what does that signify?
Yeah, so we do this event every 2 years, and the last one we did it was in Shanghai. So this is the first time we brought it to Europe.
Yeah.
One of the main reasons for this is really to kind of make sure we're bringing ourselves closer to our partners in this region. For us, it was important to do it in Europe this year. As you say, it's the first time we've done it outside of the Asian markets.
Yeah.
And it really makes us in the current space able to have these conversations with a slightly different audience, with a slightly different focus.
Yeah.
Europe to Asia, Asia to Europe is always going to be a strong point for us. But ultimately, we want to be relevant for our partners in certain markets.
Yeah.
So this is us saying, we're here, we're in Europe, and what are we doing
We're
next?
a serious player.
Yeah.
Actually, we talked to your head of flights yesterday, who pointed out that actually, in terms of the proportion of business now,
Yeah.
Trip is now bigger than the original C-Trip, which is the Chinese
Yes.
brand.
Yeah,
so that
from GMB.
really underlines the growth internationally that the brand has seen over the last sort of 5 years, isn't it?
Absolutely. And for us, again, the catalyst for that was kind of back to the COVID period,
Yeah.
where we were kind of like in the international markets, we need to make sure that the trip business is standing on its own 2 feet. So all of the international teams really kind of worked on our airline partnerships from our side, but also our other supply relationships for the other lines of business as well.
Yeah.
And really kind of to build that up. So again, on a kind of a global stage, we're saying how do we work globally, but then also make it locally relevant and build that up. So so it's really great to see those international markets.
It's a 1.5-day event. We're on the second morning, and breakfast is happening sort of behind the camera as we speak. People are gathering for day 2. Last night, you went on a river cruise. The delegates have seen a bit of Amsterdam.
Absolutely.
So it's been nice to do that kind of thing as well. It's not just about the conference and what goes on stage, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's a chance to get together again.
And like this, it's a networking breakfast, so it's a chance for our airline partners and some of our other key suppliers in that flight area ecosystem to kind of come together and really have that time, especially in the current climate, to kind of understand what's going on, what are we kind of focusing on. A lot of the conversations which we're having on stage are what happens next from a kind of AI perspective or a kind of a business perspective.
Yeah.
So really helping kind of start some of those conversations. And these sessions are a great chance for us to have that conversation continued.
Yeah. Well, yesterday we had a long day of sessions, and we heard from a lot of different stakeholders, like Google on stage, IATA, OAG, TikTok, and then a bunch of airlines. So AirAsia was on there, and KLM, of course, sort of the host airline. What did you take from yesterday? Clearly, a lot of talk about the coming sort of AI wave, as I think it was mentioned, and Agentic. So what did you take away from that? Always the message is collaborate more, which is easier said than done, but that was clearly sort of the underlying message, wasn't it?
Yeah. And again, one of the kind of key themes that we've kind of had that everyone's talked about on stage is how do we build trust in this new area? Because as we're kind of bringing data into it, everyone's got something to kind of bring to the conversation, bring to the ecosystem. And for us, it's a case of how do we make sure that we're all comfortable in that area? There was one word that was used on stage yesterday, I forget who did the quote, and they were talking about kind of guardrails, making sure that the data is being protected for the consumer, because ultimately it kind of works backwards. Once we kind of get that sorted out, once we know what we're all kind of working on, then we can collaborate and see where we go. Because no one's got that magic bullet just yet, but we know it's coming and it's coming fast.
Yeah, trust was a big theme, and I think it was Dacius and Amadeus built up to this. The big thing is trust, and you've got to. And his point was, we're going, as a group, as a collective, we're going to be investing, or the industry is going to be investing tens of millions, billions, hundreds of billions potentially of dollars, pounds into Agentic, into AI, into technology. We're going to do it if we do it in silos and isolation,
a lot of that is going to be wasted, or it's
Yeah.
going to be double investment.
Yeah.
And then he used Amazon as an example
Yes.
of a player in a generic non-aviation sector that has also spent hundreds of billions of dollars, but it set the guardrails for that industry.
Yeah.
And whether everyone else has come along and played because they wanted to or because they had to is an open question.
That's it.
And that the danger for the industry, of this industry, is that someone comes along, sets the guardrails, and you have no choice.
Yeah.
And you have to play to their game.
That's it.
So I feel like we're in that danger point at the minute, isn't it? Where somebody could come along and go, this is how it's done, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And then you have to adapt again.
And there's so many different layers to that as well about how we're using AI within our business. I had the opportunity to speak to our partners yesterday on stage about how we do it in a customer service area. So again, everyone's got chatbots, everyone's got AI from that side. But for us, the customer service part is really key, because if you get it wrong, if you get some of the kind of the AI conversations wrong, even during the booking process, the problems that it can cause can be catastrophic or very expensive. So from our perspective, it's making sure that we're able to kind of use AI in that scalable and efficient way, but at the same time, make sure we've got those guardrails ourselves, but also helping to kind of set a benchmark for the industry to kind of say, well, this is how we're using AI and a human kind of mix in all of those kind of different areas, be it customer service, be it the booking flow, to make sure that, again, our airline partners are being supported, they're learning from it, they're seeing how they can benefit from this new world that we're stepping into.
We heard from, I think it was OAG, that said some poor data in this industry. A tiny error can suddenly cause havoc.
Absolutely.
Because that data gets then shared across a wide ecosystem. So there was a warning there of the good data in, good data out.
And it's also, like you say, as we step into kind of an agentic kind of world, and people are talking about what's happening on that side, it's like a game of telephone. If you've got one model kind of speaking to another one, it's very easy for that kind of message to break down at some point, or a hallucination to appear at some point. And then, as you say, that kind of ecosystem then breaks down for it. So again, this is why it's all about kind of building trust in that partnership, because you have to be able to trust your own data and your own partners in terms of how we're doing that collaboration model.
We've spoken in the past on ABNcast at length about the value that Trip.com brings to the industry as an intermediary, as not an airline, but as a player. And one of the things was when things go wrong, when disruption occurs. And of course, since then, we've had another big disruption, and it's happening as we speak, and we won't go into the politics of it, but at the end of the day, it's happening. What's been Trip.com's approach to helping the industry through what is yet another sort of difficult period and a challenge, which will go away again, but at the moment we're feeling it.
And again, the industry has always got something which comes across which we need to look at. And again, it's making sure you've got the business processes to support that. So again, some of the other data and points that I was talking about yesterday is in the last 60 days, we've seen our flight change and cancellation requests rise from about 40 to 45% to over 60%. So that's passengers who are saying, I want to change or I need to change, maybe voluntary or involuntary. So we need to make sure that we've got functions in place. We need to know what the airline policies are. How do we communicate that? How do we give the passenger the correct information? So ultimately, we're there to support our airline partners, but also the travelers at the same time. And as we're kind of going through or going into the kind of the peak summer period, one of the big things that we've seen is people are resilient. Travel will still happen. They're just changing their plans. They may be booking a bit later. They may be changing their destination. And being quick and responsive is really important in this area. Our airline partners will have a conversation with us and say, this is what we want to see. This is what we need. How can you support us? And we'll have that conversation with them. Here are our options. Here are our solutions. And this is what we're doing for our customers right now. There was a talk yesterday about control, and obviously the airlines want control. They've been battling for control over the last 20 years or so with the NDC and control of the offer, because they don't want to lose that control and allow everything to go to third parties. How does the future pan out in that level of control? Well, airlines will always want more control, but at the same time, they also want to give you guys a bit of... That's it.
They want you to help out in things like customer service and distribution, etc.
And I think... There's trends, there's kind of what's popular, but I think everyone is on a slightly different journey. So it's not one rule fits everyone when it comes to kind of that topic. Some airlines really value us and our customer service. Some airlines want to do more of it themselves. I think one of the themes that we see come through is in home markets, airlines value their own brand. So all of our conversations are always, how do we complement what you're doing in the home market? Because those loyal customers are probably going to go to the airline.com, but they can't capture everything. And again, for inbound markets, that's when our kind of strength comes through. So for us, it's kind of sitting down, understanding what the airline strategy is and how can we find that solution. Yes, airlines want a direct traveler. They can create loyalty. It's a lower acquisition cost from that side. And we're kind of saying to them, great, we'll help you on that journey, and then we'll bring value to you over here. So that's really where we kind of come to the table on a non-competing platform.
Yeah. Before we finish, final word on the future. I think it was 250 or so people sat there behind us yesterday, 70 odd airlines, maybe, so a good turnout from the airlines. Early on, there was a poll asked about people's attitude towards AI.
Yeah.
It was immensely positive. I think 83% said we're positive about AI.
Yes, yeah.
Which there are concerns outside of business, but business people tend to be quite positive about tech and tech change. How does that send you away with a degree of positivity that people are seeing the opportunity here? As they're cognizant of the threats and the issues, but they see a great opportunity to grasp something that's really happening now, and this revolution is happening today.
Absolutely. I agree. And I think the two things I would say on that AI topic from it is that one of the themes that we've got is how Trip uses AI with that human interaction for it to make sure that we kind of have a valid business model and it works effectively. One of our leaders was on stage, Yong Sing, yesterday talking about the technical side of things, and from a programming perspective, AI can do a lot of kind of programming. It can replace certain tasks, but that was only ever about 15% of what our engineers were doing. So what it's basically saying is it can make that part more efficient and then free up time for something else. And again, that was one of the kind of resounding kind of messages. It's like AI is a tool that can make us more efficient if we use it correctly. We have to have that human kind of guardrails element for it to make sure that it is being managed going forward. So I think it's exciting. As you say, everything's going to move very quickly over the coming months. We're here to be part of the collaboration process for that.
Look, James, it's good to see you again, and thanks for inviting us once more, and all the best for the future. I'll let you go off and get a coffee and breakfast before we start.
Thanks very much.
Thanks
good
a
to
lot.
see you. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, so now on ABNcast, we're going to talk to one of the airlines that has been at the Trip.com Global Aviation Airline Conference in Amsterdam. I'd like to be joined by Jimena Boe, who is Head of Global Partnerships at Lufthansa.
Yeah, thank you.
And your boss has just come off stage, having wrapped up the day and a half we've had here talking with Trip.com about the future. So it'd be good to see what you've thought about what's been said and talked about this last day and a half, and what have you taken from the conference?
I'm taking so many impulses, right? So my head is full of inspiration, of all comments from the different perspectives. So we saw Google, we saw GDSs, we saw the perspective from Trip.com, not only the OTA, but also TripBiz, that is the corporate arm of Trip.com, TripGenie, a lot about AI, but also a lot about trust and how human touch is still there, and most importantly than AI enabler.
Does that make you positive about the future? There's a lot of concerns about what the future brings.
Yes,
it's uncertain, but actually you come to an event like this and everyone goes away quite enthused. I can see that that's certainly the case for yourself. So.
I'm pretty excited about the future. I think the aviation fans, as we are always super positive despite all the crises that we have overcome, and we are resilient. Is a proof, right? So that we have been resilient, and we are very quickly to adapt in terms of crisis, to shift capacity, to change flight, and this is what we learned from the crisis, unfortunately, but we are looking at the future and great collaboration.
We are sadly in the middle of another crisis, not of the airlines making, and nothing we can change, or nothing the industry can change to turn that around very quickly. We just have to roll with it. But how has the reaction been, and particularly amongst the partnerships that you obviously oversee? Have they all kicked in to try and help the
Yes, totally. The closer that we are with the partners, the better, because the partner also help us to react faster in order to servicing travelers, to change the flight, to adapt the capacity, to pick up the phone. In case of Trip.com, is a great example of servicing. And this is what we need, because it's not enough channels. We cannot do it alone. We need to trust and build on our partnership. This is fundamental.
How big has this disruption been? You probably lived through,
after COVID crisis is
number two.
Is number two. Yes, exactly, because it's at the moment that it's started. It's cancellation, and it's how we shift capacity, how we shift aircraft from the Middle East to other places, how we protect our crew, our own team that were based on the Middle East, and then how the different shift of sales were moving, and now fuel prices and fuel scarcity that we are going to face.
Yeah.
So we are preparing for that.
It's events like this that make you realize just how complicated and big and complex the industry is. It's a massive logistical exercise, isn't it?
Yes.
Anyway, let's put that aside and talk about more positive things. We're looking further into the future, and clearly we're on the cusp of a new era with AI, agentic commerce, and so on. So where does Lufthansa see things going in that respect? Everyone's pretty positive about the future. I think 83% said they're really positive.
Yes.
But where do you see things going, and is it coming quickly?
It is coming like massively, rapidly with all the AI enabler. We need technology. This is something that we need, and we were building on technology, and then AI came on top of this, and it's only helping us with the good use, right? We heard yesterday a lot about governance from IATA. This is needed, of course, rules are needed, but data, City were saying, is also critical.
Yeah.
So we see the technology as enabler, and also how to translate this to the end consumer. Before were the physical travel agencies, and now we have the digital travel agency predominantly, but we need to send this message to the end consumer, our cabins, how our product is displayed.
Yeah. Is that the concern that without the guardrails in place, and maybe IATA or whoever it is that's going to come in and set those guardrails, unless the industry does it for themselves, I think it was mentioned yesterday, someone else will come in and set the guardrails, and you lose control, and you have to play to their tune.
Yes.
I think the example Amadeus yesterday talked about Amazon setting the guardrails for retail, and everyone had to play, whether they liked it or not.
Exactly.
They had to play along.
You have to participate, and the willingness to participate or not, or if you have been pushed. Yes, IATA is serving, at least for the airlines, as an entity that is bringing us all together and trying to find a common sense and common guardrails and rules for all the industry. So we rely a lot and we participate. We are one of the first airlines group that we are always there on the initiatives with IATA.
Yeah. So you look after partnerships. Now, obviously, every airline is always focused on trying to get as much direct customer through. That's understandable. There's a commercial reason for that. We understand that. But partnerships are obviously very key. Where do you see partnerships developing in this new world of agentic? Do you think because of the technology, the partnerships can be more beneficial, for both sides, rather than sort of there's an unlevel playing field?
Definitely, and we see, right, for instance, in our home market, we have the majority, the customer knows us in Germany, in Austria, in Belgium, in Switzerland, but at the moment that we go outside of our home markets, and even in our home market, if a customer is really needing a hotel, a one-stop shop, they find this value on our partners and sometimes not on our direct channels. And also we saw right before the form of payment, right? And every local market, every local marketing action and social, we cannot reach this with our own channels, at least. So we really rely on the value of the partners, on the complementary value of the partnership.
You've got the retail partners on one side that take the product and the offer and then get that out to their customers, and hopefully, and we even the TikTok of this world. We had TikTok yesterday doing a similar thing, and marketing in ways that, again, it's very difficult for an airline to market direct. But then you've got, I think, what you see as a big trend clearly of airlines becoming more full service operators, like into holiday operators. So you see it in EasyJet in UK, and BA Holidays is massive, and I'm sure Lufthansa is doing something similar. Do you see that as being more of a future for you, where you've got partners who are delivering product you can then bundle together to create different opportunities?
We are seeing this a lot, like a fintech product or even package product, white label, a lot of B2B2C out there in the market. So not anymore the classical purely OTA side. Trip.com group is a very clearly example about this, right? So they have a Skyscanner, they have Travel Fusion, that is a travel tech provider, they have a TripBiz, that is a corporate arm. So there is not anymore this like a classical business, purely B2B, B2C, it's all together.
Sort of merging into one, isn't it? I was at a different event earlier in the year, and a significant carrier from North America said, look, I can see in the world of agentic commerce, I can see a time when none of our customers ever hit our website. That could be a thing of the past. Now, it's almost hard to imagine that because websites have been so important in the internet age. Do you think that's where it's headed?
we are managing different scenarios. This could be one of these. We are trying to see how we stay relevant also, because there is a value in the direct traffic, of course, in the data, in knowing the customer, in the loyalty. So we are trying to see how to stay relevant, but this is one of the scenarios. The other scenario is that the intermediary disappears, so the agentic will talk directly with another agentic, or will bargain the fare directly with our revenue management agentic. So we really don't know what is the future going to be like. We are trying to prepare for different scenarios.
Okay. One thing about that, I guess, is that what happens then is all this shopping activity and research and inspiration happens sort of offline, if almost, between bots, and transparency is then not quite as what it used to be. And you can see there being issues around, well, have I got the right price? How can I even know I've got the right price? We heard from Skyscanner this morning, part of the Trip.com group, a meta search site, and you wonder where does things go for a site like Skyscanner and price comparison. That's still going to be important. How do you see that sort of?
So I think also regulations play a role, especially in the EU. The European Commission is trying to play a role in the digital. So this is something that we are also invited to participate as airlines, also as an OTA, trying to make the benefit and the transparency from the end consumer. Because the consumer, the traveler, are overwhelmed. This is something that it was also mentioned here, right? Overwhelmed by all the results.
By choice, do you think? Or and all the I think OAG yesterday was saying how many different data points they deal with in a single day on a single flight. It's no person can possibly deal with it. So you're expecting some regulation to come along. Is there a concern that regulation stifles innovation, or hopefully enables it, I guess?
Yes, enablers as well, but also putting rules and guardrails and watching what is happening in the market and being adapted to the digital, because what we are discussing right now is how the digital is going to be regulated, if it's possible.
Final word before we finish, really, is all about the customer at the end of the day. And everyone talks about customer centricity, and it really feels like whatever's going to happen in the future with AI and Agentic, it is being driven by customers. Because you expect the experience will be so much more customer centric that they will adopt it at speed, and that's really going to set the pace, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. So the customers are in the driver's seat, the customers and the travelers are sovereign, are sitting. We're saying we don't own the customer, nobody owns it. So
that's an interesting call. That I mean,
exactly.
Brands would think they do own customers, but you're saying
because
no.
Because for years we were discussing about this, who owns the customer, and now we are saying multiple touch points, right? The customer getting the inspiration and booking here, adding an ancillary on my website, and going back on my trip to manage the things, and maybe it's loyal to Trip.com for the coins or to another loyalty program. So it's very complex, the customer journey, and I think we need to adapt to that.
Raina, thank you very much for joining us on ABNcast. It's great to meet you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
Good.